see that? Can you see that?
Yep.
Later this week. Later this week, that's when the magic starts. Trev, by the way, is there another team in the World Cup that we should know about? You know, big, living in Sweden and... No? Alright, well, anyway, I think we should probably move on. Hello everyone and welcome to this, another outdoor edition of, this is becoming a bit of a thing, isn't it, Trev? Of BeerSwedenTV. Today we are going to concentrate on just one beer. It's kind of like a little bit of blog housekeeping, this one. Only last week there were 6 new beers released at the Systembolaget. This was one of them, but it wasn't actually, it was a bit late onto the shelf, so we finally managed to get hold of a bottle of it. The bottle in question, or the beer in question, is Innis and Gunn with their oak-aged IPA. Got that, Trev? Now this is a beer that I have to be honest with you, I wasn't really looking forward to tasting. I've had a number of Innis and Gunns in the past, and again, if I'm being brutally honest with you, didn't like any of them. The whole concept of aging these beers in different flavoured casks just threw me. I'm not a huge fan of sort of transferred alcohol flavours into beers. When it works well, it's actually superb, but it can also be pretty clumsy and pretty ugly. I seem to recall actually the first... This hat, Trev, look. I seem to recall the first time that I tried an Innis and Gunn. I'm not quite sure if it was, but it was certainly a whiskey infused cask. I seem to recall writing a tasting note that said something like, it reminded me of licking the dashboard of a Nissan Micra. That's the kind of burnt rubber band sort of flavours I got from it. It was horrible, real drain poor stuff. So in this one, I heard news that this one was coming to the Systembolaget. I'll be honest, I wasn't jumping up and down, but if you've been following the blog, you'll know that I was pleasantly surprised. Have actually tasted a review or an advanced bottle of this, so I kind of know what's coming. Hope this one's as good as the last one. Straight out of the fridge, let's pop this one open. Straight out of the fridge. Now the Innis and Gunn importers into this country, hop straight away, the Innis and Gunn importers in this country recommend you straight out of the fridge. Between 4 and 6 degrees is the recommended serving temperature. Now that to me is perhaps a tad too cold, because it really does sort of tighten all the flavours and the aromas. If beer is too cold, it really does dumb it down a little bit. But having said that, I think this is one exception to that rule. Let's pour this one up. It really is, I have to say, straight off the bat, what a pretty bottle that is, or pretty, what a premium looking bottle that is. Very sort of whiskey like in some respects. To me it sort of looks like a branded whiskey bottle. Very sexy. Of course it's clear glass, and it's a lovely little colour. Have a look at this colour here. Just as we do that, the sun goes in, of course. Perfect, thank you. Be with us next week, please. Look at it, it's almost like, I call it, I think it's sort of Welsh gold. Really is a very pretty colour. Nice firm head on it too. Let's give it a whirl, Trev. Give it a whirl. And there's a huge, almost overpowering vanilla slap to this beer. The first thing you get. Now, I love vanilla. It's one of my real top flavours. I'm a real vanilla ice cream, you know, vanilla pod, custard, any of those types of flavours I love, and it is very evident on the nose in this beer. So if you like vanilla, I'm going to tell you, you're going to like this beer. Now, as well as vanilla, there's an awful lot of toffee action going on, runny caramel too, and I get a sort of squeeze of orange juice. And there is a dessert called creme catalana, which is basically a creme brulee with orange in it. This is it. This is effectively it. And I challenge you, try this beer with a creme catalana, and it will be very difficult for you to determine where the beer stops and the dessert starts in this one. This is really very dessert-like, this beer. Now you can argue, of course, before I get to taste it, is that what an IPA is supposed to be all about? Remember, this is an India Pale Ale in style, and you'll be right. There's really not a lot of IPA sort of characteristics that I'm getting here. I think you should actually forget the IPA thing, to be quite honest with you, and think of this as something completely different, an experimental sort of beer. It hasn't got the aggressive sort of hop things that's you know, you're expecting from an IPA. It's simply not there. And that grassy, grapefruit, tropical fruit sort of thing, no, it's not there. But what you are getting is a little bit of wood, lots of rich vanilla. It smells creamy. It really does smell, as I say, like a sort of dessert in a glass. Good stuff. Right, I think it's time, Trev. I'm going to have a little sip. Oh. Again, I said on the blog, amazing, I'm surprised at this beer, really am. It's thrown me again. I said on the blog that if Ben and Jerry, the ice cream makers, were to make beer, it would be something like this, and I'll stick to that. It's got a deliciously rich, almost thick, ice creamy, you know, vanilla ice cream and toffee sort of theme to it. It feels a little bit decadent, really, a little bit decadent. And I think what they've done, and they've succeeded with so well in this beer, which they failed to achieve so much in the past, is that they've got the level of oak just about right. So it really does add to the flavour of the beer rather than detract or overpower it. So you've got this very smooth, silky sort of finish. There's very little hop there, very little hop action at the end. So this really is a more sweety, malty beer, which again really does fly in the face of what IPA should all be about. So don't get too hooked up on the style here. We're not the style police, are we, Trev, really, to be honest with you? Take it as it is, judge it on its own merits. I think this is certainly by far and away the best Innis and Gunn beer that I've had to date. So I take my hat off to Innis and Gunn on this one. And in fact, while I'm sat having another sip, because it is actually pretty good, I pulled this off the internet today from the Scotsman, which is a sort of a newspaper / business journal over in Scotland, of course. Now, Innis and Gunn, if you didn't know, is actually brewed by Belhaven, a Scottish brewery.
Wee Heavy.
That's right, Wee Heavy is one of their beers. I'm going to put my glasses on. I always end up doing that, Trev. And what I was attracted by the headline, which says, Swedish thirst for Innis and Gunn beer helps sales surge. And apparently, you lot have been drinking so much of this, or not particularly this, but the previous ones as well, that you've actually helped the sales of Innis and Gunn go through the roof. I think there's a 21% increase in sales. And Dougal Sharp, what a great name, Dougal Sharp, who is the managing director of Innis and Gunn, hi Dougal, he said that their performance has surpassed all expectations, and particularly mentioned that the Swedes are very discerning beer drinkers who appreciate different styles. You hear that? That's you guys that have done it.
World Cup.
So they're very... World Cup, Trev? Did you say World Cup? So you guys have actually really got behind this. I think it's become now the second or third biggest selling UK brand into the System Lager. So you obviously like what they're doing, and I actually like what they're doing with this particular beer. So I think that's enough, Trev. I think we don't normally concentrate on one beer, but I think this was an interesting one. Now, my previous ratings of Innis and Gunn beers, I think you probably wouldn't have got me over 1 or 2. This one, though, I'm, as I say, blown away with, really, considering the past. So I'm going to give it 3.5. A nice little score there. So, until next time, Trev. Until next time, people. Cheers and beers.